This is a recording of William J. Mahoney and his wife Laura by Helen, Earley, and Jim Walkinshaw at the Mahoney residence at 1013 Parker in Lansing, Michigan, 48912. Bill's phone number is area code 517-485-4787. The recording was made on September 9th, 1988. This is tape number 1 of 2 tapes. All right, Bill, I think first what?
I started at Oldsmobile in 1925.
All right.
And I worked in the cost department. And from there, I went into timekeeping in the factory.
All right.
And then the Depression 29 came along, and I was happy to be kept on painting machines and painting the roof and whatnot.
So were you on hourly when you were?
I was on hourly.
I know that.
And I was making 22 cents an hour.
Oh my.
And I got a penny raise, and they took a penny away from 2 other timekeepers to give me the penny raise. So they made a penny.
Did you belong to the union?
No, I didn't belong to any union. And the union didn't come into the picture until 1936 in Flint in the sit down. But we had what they call the government union, where they hired, or they had an election, and representatives from various departments took part in that particular procedure to handle the employees' grievances. Then after 36, when the union came into the picture, and General Motors recognized the union, we joined the union, or was forced into the union after 1936, around 1938. And at that time, Mr. McCune was our general manager, and I was transferred to the personnel department to handle the contact with the union.
All right.
And
did you spend then, Bill, that time when you were on painting all up to that?
no, up until the time we joined the union.
All right.
And I transferred into personnel.
All right.
And Mr. McCune was the general manager, and I worked there until Mr. Skinner came into Oldsmobile in 1940.
All right.
And from 1940 till the first part of 1942, it didn't seem to me that I was doing anything. At that time, Mr. Brandl was personnel director, and I was working for him. And it didn't seem to me as though I was doing anything that satisfied Mr. Skinner. So I told Mr. Brandl that I was retiring. And he said, well, you better think about it. And I said, oh, I've thought about it a long time, and I'm retiring. So the next day, I was called up to Mr. Skinner's office. And Mr. Brandl was sitting there, and Skinner wanted to know what was the matter. And I said, well, there isn't anything the matter as far as I'm concerned, other than the fact that I don't seem to be able to do anything to satisfy you. And as long as I haven't been doing it, I might just well get out and let somebody else handle it. And he said, well, I wish you'd think about it for a period of time. You'll hear from me. I said, okay. So I went back down to the office. The very next day, I was called up to his office. And he said, from now on, he said, you're reporting direct to me. And I said, well, that's fine. I said, I'll stay on. He said, how long has it been since you had a raise? And I said, well, I've never had one under Mr. Brandl because he's never given me one. He said, okay. So I went to work for Mr. Skinner,
What
What were you
capacity?
doing?
labor relations
Labor
man.
relations, directly for Skinner.
Yeah,
Uh-huh.
Now, it was at the beginning of the labor relations department.
yeah, that's a big,
And you were the director.
yeah. And, so I worked at that time, we were doing government work, candles or cannons and things of that type.
Yes.
And Mr. Skinner took over the Janesville plant and the Kansas City plant.
All right.
And we operated that during the war. And I was on the road in the airplane, going back and forth to Kansas City and Janesville. And then in 1945, Mr. Skinner made me personnel director.
Okay.
And from 45 to 61, when I retired, I was personnel director.
All right.
And the war ended, and that kept us, or that was our question to quit Kansas City and Janesville, just stay at Oldsmobile.
Uh-huh.
And he was our general manager until 1950. And he was a very fine individual. And then we got Mr. Wolf, and he was general manager until around 1960.
Uh-huh.
And then he retired.
Yeah.
And then we had John Belts, or the time I was there, and then following him was Mr.
Harold or Metzel?
Metzel.
Metzel.
Harold Metzel.
Metzel. And then following Metzel, was Bob Cook.
Oh, we had Howard Carroll in there.
Howard Carroll and Baker was there for a little bitty period, but he never got there.
Yeah. But then I retired in 1961.
Okay. Can you, Bill, can you remember anything about McEwen? Can you describe him at all to us?
McEwen was a very fine individual. After he left here, he went to Detroit, and he had me come down there to give a talk to the employees there about the organization that we had at Oldsmobile.
Uh-huh.
And I always thought an awful lot of Mr. McEwen.
What kind of a person was he?
He was a very fine individual. I don't know what they took him out of here and put him in Detroit, and he was in charge of engineering, I think, in Detroit.
Uh-huh.
But he was a very fine individual. And that's more than I could say for Wolf. I mean, he was a pain in the brat as far as I was concerned.
A lot of people felt that
Well,
way.
yeah, that's
And
right.
reason to, I guess.
How did Mr. McEwen manage people?
Very good, very good. He was the one that actually started me in what was eventually labor relations, because he had me work for Brandel and personnel and handle the representatives of employees' grievances before the union came into the picture.
Uh-huh. Was he, did he spend any time in the plant?
No.
Not much. Uh-huh.
He was entirely different than Skinner. Skinner never came into the office, but when he went into the plant first and talked to employees all through the plant.
Did he?
And I recall one instance where we had a dropping the body onto the chassis, and the woman was handling the body drop, and he stopped and talked to her, and he said, "Do you enjoy this job?" She said, "Would you like to have it?" And he said, "No." Well, she says, "I enjoy it," and she was a very good operator. But he always talked to the people. He knew more about what was going on in the plant than anybody else around there.
Oh, yeah.
And we had an office personnel was on the first floor, right across from the elevator.
Yeah.
And Bob Bancroft was working for us in the office and opposite the elevator. And every time he seemed to come into the elevator, he noticed him sitting in there with his feet up on the desk. And he called my attention to it. He said, "You better do something about that." And I said, "Okay." But he was a very, very fine individual.
Was Skinner harder to work for than McEwen?
Oh, no, Skinner was a very fine individual to work
Okay.
for. He never went into Kansas City or Janesville, but what he took me and with the rest of the organization with him. You know, he was a very fine individual to work for. And he got along with the union. I recall a fellow named Zimmerman was in machine repair, and he was on the committee. He was a very loud talker. We were up in Skinner's office one day, and he started shooting off his mouth. And Skinner told him, said, "You handle your grievances. I'll handle this. I don't need any loud talk. If you want to talk to me, talk to the normals." So that cured Mr. Zimmer.
Interesting.
Yes.
He was very fair. Honestly, very fair. But
Did Mr. Wolfram ever go out in the plant?
hell no, he never spoke to anybody. He worked in the engineering department before he was made general manager, and he wouldn't even speak to the people that he worked with. He was an egotistical so-and-so. That's all I can say. But I never liked, of course, I never got along with him. Because right after he was in the general manager, he went down to the corporation. Mr. Klinger was in charge of the various divisions. And Mr. Anderson was the personnel director down there. He wanted permission from Mr. Anderson and Mr. Klinger to fire me.
He did.
And they said, "You better leave labor relations to Bill and you take care of the rest of the plant." So that was, I lost all interest in Mr. Wolfram.
Why was he? What was he upset about?
Oh, he wasn't upset about anything other than the fact that he didn't like me. That's all. And I didn't give a damn, because from then on, when I sat in the staff meeting, I always took Bob Rollis's place or took his part against him. And I always took anybody's part against him because that was the way I felt about it, because I never liked him.
That's very interesting.
And I don't think there's anybody in Oldsmobile that's left that was there at the time he was general manager has a good word for Skinner. All he thought about, or Wolf, yeah. All he thought about was old Bubble Gut, his son-in-law.
McTell.
Yeah, McTell. And that's all he thought about. McTell was teaching him how to talk and all that kind of stuff. And everybody around there just despised the guy.
Isn't that interesting?
And I told Skinner when I went down to the building later on after that, I said, "I never knew you to make many mistakes, but I know one you did make." And he said, "I know what you're talking about." And I said, "Yes, you do. That's when you recommended Wolfram for the job."
Well, that was kind of a natural progression there for Olds. The chief engineer gravitated up to the general
Yeah,
manager.
it was, but that's the way Mr. Skinner thought it.
Wasn't until later that they started picking production people
That's right.
and some of the
That's right.
manufacturers.
Yeah.
What was Mr. Wolfram's daughter's first husband's name? Do you remember that, Bill?
His name was Riley. Last name was Riley.
Riley.
Yes. And
He was the district manager in the Jacksonville zone.
that's right. That's right. And that's when she divorced him, or he divorced her, one or the other. I don't know which. But then after that, after he left, he was traveling to California for some damn thing. He had a ranch of some kind out there. And he was running around with some woman out there. And then when he died, and after that, the way I found out about it, I went up to see our attorney, Harry Hubbard, and Harry told me that the lawyer out there had written him and asked him to handle the lawsuit. And he said, no, he didn't want any part of that. She was evidently suing him. But he evidently said that he would marry her after he divorced his wife. But he was a no good so-and-so.
How about Mr. Belts now?
Well, Johnny Belts was a very fine young man. I had never knew too much about him because I was retired before he came into
All
the
right.
picture.
But you didn't see him much back in the job?
No, but he was well liked by the corporation.
Uh-huh.
And that always stuck in my mind as being a very fine individual. I knew his parents had lived in North Lansing
Yes.
before him. But I never thought, I never had much to do with his
Yeah.
operation. But I know that he was a very fine individual. And of course, then who was it that came into the picture?
Howard Carroll.
And Carol and
That's all.
Wetzel, Harold Wetzel.
Wetzel. And Kitty
Well,
went to Buick.
okay.
And who?
Dykstra.
No, Dykston died. The guy that was in engineering that went to Pontiac. He died here a short time ago.
Oh, Estes.
Estes.
Pete Estes.
Pete Estes.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
Pete Estes.
Yes.
Pete Estes went to Pontiac and Kiddick went to Buick.
Okay.
And I saw Pete down in Detroit where they had a dinner meeting down there with the top union men and General Motors.
Mm-hmm.
And I was retired then, and they, George Morris was personnel director down there, and he invited me down to the meeting. And Bob Cook was manager then, and I called Bob and asked him if he'd send his chauffeur down there with the car, take me down. And he said yes. So I met Pete down there, and he introduced me to Young, who was chairman of the board. And I had quite a long talk with him. I always thought an awful lot of Pete. He was a very fine.
Well, he came to work at Oldsmobile, did he?
Oh, yes,
At
he did.
first.
Yes, and he went to GM Tech.
Yeah.
He graduated from GM Tech.
What about some of the people that you worked with in labor relations and personnel?
Well, Harold McFarland was my assistant. He was in the personnel department, and I made him my assistant. They put me on there. And he went out in the office and got my secretary for me. That was Dorothy Snyder.
Oh, yeah. You and she were together at another.
Oh, yeah. She was secretary for all the time I was there until 61.
How many years did you work together?
16 years.
Six.
Yeah. She was a very fine girl. And then after I left there, Numbnuts, Will he had her transferred over to the forge plant for secretary. Got over
Yeah, Elmer Corbin, I think.
Yeah,
Was-
Almer Corbin, that's right.
Yeah, I remember that.
Yeah, yeah, she went over there. But she never liked it. After she got old, she retired.
Do you keep in touch with your?
Yes, yeah. She used to call here quite often, but lately she hasn't called. I haven't talked to her lately, but I used to talk to her real often, and Mom used to talk to her too.
She had a problem with her eyesight.
Yeah,
didn't
yeah.
she? After all.
Last time I saw her, I was out to the mall, the Meyer store or someplace. I saw her there. She was having trouble with
It's
it,
too bad.
Yeah. But she was a very nice girl. And the Red Cherry, he was in personnel department, and
Bob Schultz, Bill Schultz.
Bill Schultz, Matt Campbell, they would run the salary limit, but Schultz and Campbell, I don't know, as long as I was there,
Uh-huh.
and then they retired after I left too.
Yeah.
There wasn't anybody that got along, nobody.
Uh,
I never had any use for him, and guess nobody else did.
Now, Mr. Cutler came in after you.
After he was working for me, when I retired, and I recommended him as a personnel director. He was there until he had to retire. Shortly after that,
yes.
and his wife, too.
Oh, I didn't.
Yeah. There isn't any, Bill Schultz is gone.
Right.
Matt is
Matt,
the only one that's
and you.
left that I know.
Too.
There was a
And,
big fellow, that,
Walker.
no, but he lost a leg. He had a leg amputated, maybe after he retired. I don't even know, and he married Helen All later.
Oh, I don't.
What
know.
is that? Maybe it'll come to me.
Yeah.
It doesn't
That's
matter.
okay.
He's gone now.
Fred Barrett.
Fred, that's man.
Fred
That's the
Barrett.
one I'm trying
Yeah.
to think of. Thank you.
Fred died.
Yes.
Yeah. And he married
Helen
Helen
All.
Ollie.
Right.
Yeah. I was surprised at that because his wife had died prior to that. And he married Helen. I don't know whether she's alive or not.
Yes,
She
yes,
is.
yes. I saw it the other day.
Fred worked for us. He started to work at the forge plant when had the big hammers over there. That's where Fred started on the upside.
Oh,
Transferred into the information or in the personnel department, handling employees who were even Harold Good.
oh, yes. Good is gone too.
Who?
Good.
No, his wife caught.
Oh, is he still alive?
As far as I know, Helen. Yeah. You know, his wife was part of this big jam outfit.
Oh, Smuckers.
Smuckers. His
Right.
wife was the daughter of Smuckers, and she was in that.
I remember that.
Yeah.
Say, Mr. Mahoney, you used to play on the old baseball team, didn't you?
Yes, when
When was that?
that was in 1926. After 1926, 1926, Mr. Reuter and Mr. Carter and Mr. Bernard and Mr. Miltner came from Delco Remy to Oldsmobile. And we had divisional, different teams in division. And then we had a team that was Oldsmobile, and Mr. Carter bought us all new uniforms and everything. And we had quite a baseball team, and we won quite a few pennants in Lansing.
Who did we play?
That's what I'm saying.
We played all the teams in Lansing. They had various teams around
You mean
Lansing.
other businesses, other industries,
Yeah,
other baseball teams too?
Motor Wheel and all those other.
Oh, yeah.
Were you-
Okay.
Yeah. And I played football for Durant. When I came back from Valparaiso, I played quarterback for Durant. We had a professional football team. And they played Detroit, Saginaw, and places like that. And I worked in a plant where they furnished parts for various departments. And I sit in there singing one morning. Big shots come along and I wanted to know what the hell I was singing about. So I decided I had better leave there, so I quit there and I went to work with Stamping Company.
When was that, Bill, that you worked for Durant?
That was in 1923 and 24.
Well, these are good.
Before that, because I went to work for the Stamping Company in 22, and you went there right about 21.
Maybe I did.
Okay, about 18 and 19.
Probably.
Did you know Mr. Durant? Were you with him
Oh,
some?
no, Berlinden was the guy that run the Durant plant here.
Uh-huh.
I see.
And he left Oldsmobile and went to Durant.
Did you ever see Durant wandering around the
No,
plant?
I never seen
They
it.
never said.
In fact, I never seen Mr. Berlinden either.
Uh-huh. What did you do over there? You worked in a parts?
Yeah, parts in a part bin
Uh-huh.
over there,
Uh-huh.
giving parts to the employees.
Yeah.
But it didn't last long. I
Yeah.
didn't stay there long. I was freelancing around.
And then you said you went to work for Lansing Stamping?
Stamping, yeah.
Mhm. What did you do over there?
Oh, I was timekeeper over there, record keeper and every other goddamn thing. And then I left there and I went to Oldsmobile.
That time stamping company employed about 250 people.
Yeah,
Uh-huh.
most of them, there's a lot of women there.
Yeah.
Dresses. But that's all gone and done.
Yeah.
All beyond us.
Bill, go ahead, Helen.
I was going to ask you, what positions did you play on the baseball team? All of them?
No, shortstop.
Shortstop.
How long did the baseball team, those kinds of things, did we keep doing that for quite a while?
Oh, yeah, you kept the Oldsmobile team lasted about 2 years after Carter and Reuter, that gang left, went to Detroit.
Oh, yeah.
Then what caused it to disintegrate or
Oh, they just didn't have
lack of
any.
interest?
Yeah, that's right. But,
Things change.
yeah. But most of the boys that played on the Oldsmobile team then played on independent ball, Lansing, carried on for quite some time.
Did we have a band?
No, we never had a band,
Never had a
but
band.
Rio had a band.
Rio had a
We
band.
didn't have
Okay.
Closest we came to singing was when Mac Tell was there.
Oh, Christ, yes, that goddamn Maxwell. He had his Wolfram's daughter and him, and I think four or five children, and he had 5 or 6 children before he married her. He was his goddamnest individual, and he was always around with Tail and Wolf, telling him what to do and what not to do, or speaking and whatnot. Yeah.
Mrs. Wilson was an awfully nice person.
And a pretty woman too.
Yes, she was, and she didn't approve of her husband by a long shot, but she was an awfully nice person.
Uh-huh.
Oh, hell, what he was general manager, he was running around with women when he brought on the road and things like that. And a guy at DP Brothers, fellow that worked for DP Brothers would set up girls for him.
Bill, over the years, we had pretty good labor relations. What do you attribute that to?
Well, the only thing I contributed it to is I knew practically everybody that worked for Oldsmobile by their first name when I was timekeeping. And I always treated them like I like to be treated myself.
Mm-hmm.
And I was very fair, but I was firm in my decisions with them. And I got along very well with the committee, and we had very good relations all the time. And I had very good supervisors in Detroit. Harry Anderson was the personnel man. Then Lou Seaton followed him. Then Earl Bramlett followed him. And then George Morris followed them. They were all very fine individuals and guys that liked to meet with people and be with people.
Mm-hmm.
I recall I had to go to Oklahoma once on a letter that the corporation got from a woman that worked out there, and was in regards to the zone manager. So I went out there and I talked to her. She was a very fine individual and very frank. And it resulted when I come back that Sutherland was the sales manager then. I told him what the story was. He fired this zone manager. And then they brought another zone manager in for another place. But those are things that you don't like to do, but God, you got to do it. You got to be fair.
Right.
I think one of the most sincere compliments Will ever got. There used to be a little bakery over here before they put the highway through over on corner of Pennsylvania and Maine. And I was in there one day and there was a huge, great big man. He had a forge shop button on his. He evidently knew me, but I didn't know him. And he said, how's Bill these days? Will had just retired. I said, well, you just fine. I said, ornery as ever, of course. He said, you know, he was a tough old son of a bitch, but he was always there. I said, oh, well, that's the most sincere compliment he ever got.
Did we ever have what I would call a local strike?
Yes, following the war, we were on strike and we had our offices all moved to the Hotel Olds.
Okay, but now that was a national strike.
That was a national strike. He was going to bleed to death because all it does was pour out there. We took him into the first aid. They finally got it stopped. But that's about the only experience that I had with those guys. I never had much to do with them. But,
They respected you.
oh yeah, they did.
Did you get involved with the negotiations in those?
For our own plant.
Yeah, for our own plant?
Yeah, I handled all of that.
Uh-huh.
McFarland, I was in Kansas City, got a call from McFarland. He said, Bill, guys over the forge plant's going out. Hell, I left the plant in Kansas City and went right to the airport. Got out of a plane to come about here. And, we got it back in. Everything worked out all right. But those are things that happen. And most generally, you once in a while get an individual on the plant that he figures he's arrived, he wants this and wants that. He just goes overboard. You have to straighten him out. But that's just one of seven. That's seven committeemen. The rest of them are pretty good, pretty fair, pretty individuals. I don't know, they seem to think today that they've got the union and management together and working out problems and everything is hunky-dory, and of course I don't believe in that, but it's all right. I'm glad they feel that way.
You've heard that story.
Yeah, I've heard that story.
Well, you remember Alfred Corey.
Oh, God, yes. He was the guy that run around with a big diamond on his hand, and he was a foreman out in the axle plant. He had 4 sons, I think. One of them was no good. The rest of them was pretty good. But he went over to where he came from, Lebanon, and had his car shipped over there. And he drove his car over there.
Oh
I
my.
thought he was a big shot. Yeah, Alfred Curry.
His name Sam?
No, that was his brother. Sam run that
Oh, that.
Restaurant down at Holt.
Yeah.
Yeah.
See, those sons were Peter, Paul,
One of them was a big Nick.
Nick.
Yeah.
Nick.
And they had one girl. One
Oh,
daughter.
Mary.
Yeah.
Mary.
Yeah.
Mary used to run a bar up at Carson City,
Did she? I didn't know that.
and we lived 10 miles from Carson City, and she would come over and eat lunch with our mother. Ernest had met Mary, well, here in Lansing someplace, I can't tell you how.
Yeah.
And Mary is gone now.
Oh, is she?
Yeah, she married and had twins and died shortly after their birth.
Well, Mom lived in Alma.
Oh,
I went to high school in Alma. That's where I graduated from high school.
for land's sake.
My father went there during the war.
Republic truck.
The Republic truck was running at that time and in the height of his production, and Dad went there to work. Well, and I went, of course, we moved up there, and after I got out of high school, then we came back here. Well, Dad came a little before that we got out, but I wanted to finish school, so Mother stayed. And I always liked Alma.
Was it? No.
it was quite well, right now, you wouldn't know it.
It's the highway bypasses.
Yeah.
That's-
Yeah, but we were here a few years ago, Will and I were coming down from the lake, we thought we'd drive through Alma, just see what it would look like. I wouldn't know I ever lived there.
Is that right?
It's changed, so,
Now, what lake is it that you,
Burt Lake.
overtly?
We got a beautiful place on Bert.
Oh, I'll bet you enjoyed it this summer.
Well, I used to go up, well, we built it in 1954. I used to go up along the middle of June to try to get there when the black flies were hatched out, because they raised hop with me. And then I'd stay till the first September or October, depending on the weather. Then Will would commute back and forth. But our kids, there's one of them up there all the time. We've never closed it. I mean, it's never been closed up.
372 foot on the lake.
Oh,
We
very
go
nice.
back to the county road. Got
We have
about 10 acres.
That's a nice
Approximately
lake, too.
10
Yeah,
acres.
Very nice.
Burt Lake's a nice lake.
Nice and deep.
Well, we have had a lot of fun about it. It's in my name, of course, and every so often we get a letter from a real estate man up there wanting to buy the property.
Right.
And there isn't money enough to buy it as long as our grandchildren.
That's right.
And Jason loves.
Oh.
Sally called, and Jerry were up there one weekend, and Sally wanted to talk to Mike about something, so she called. Jason answered the phone. He said, "Well, Grandma, where are you?" He said, "What?" She said, "Well, I'm up to the lake." Well, he said, "What are you doing up there without me?" Oh, he loves it. They were up there for a week with Mike at vacation. And he was busy every minute. And our poor grandchildren, as I say, they're a year apart. When they were small, they came in the summer. Sally would come up with the children and stayed all summer long. And then Jerry would come with Will. Those children they loved every inch of that lake. And
Jason sees the crocodiles and
Oh, yeah.
goddamn
he
everything.
says we got crocodiles and alligators up
Sea
there.
serpents. and
Yeah.
you name it. Right.
They brought back some dinosaur bones and it's out the college. They took out there. I don't know, they haven't heard from them since it's out there.
Probably some horse fell.
You know, Sally's mother, our daughter-in-law's parents live up there, Bruce, which is 3 miles from there. He said it is not the skull of any domestic animal.
Well, it may be because you know the glacier and everything came down through there. It could very well have done some stuff.
There's 4 teeth in the jaw, and they're about that square.
Maybe a mastodon or something.
And
Could be.
then they found another. Well, after the storm, and they were walking along the shore, and evidently it had washed up there. And so Jason and Lori, that's the girl Mike goes with, picked them up and asked Sally's father what they were. He said, "It's not a domestic animal." He said, "It's too big for a horse." And he said, "It isn't the right shape for a buffalo. So it's got to be a prehistoric animal of some kind."
Well, just east of Crystal Lake, the little Crystal Lake here.
Yeah.
Montcalm County.
In Montcalm County, they have found, I don't know whether it's mastodon bones or, some prehistoric animals' bones over in kind of a bog-like, similar to a peat bog.
Well, they took them out to the college, and the man that identifies those bones weren't there. So they hadn't heard from him yet. He was on vacation or something. So they were different than anything. Of course, Sally's dad does butchered all his own cattle and everything, so he would know.
Well, that'll be interesting
Yep.
to see.
See what they turn out to be.
Yeah. Yeah, it will be interesting.
But we get a kick out of all these. They just love to get their hands on that property, those real estate men.
Oh,
There isn't much lake frontage left up Burt or Mullet
But
Lake.
see, we're on the.
2 big lakes.
And it really is lovely.
And the only one that would be vacant would be somebody that was interested in making money.
You get tired
They
walking.
want to buy this
around.
because you got 372 foot on the lake, divide it up, sure. Yeah.
We won't get that.
Well, mom, it's in mom's name, so that they're not going to get it.
Mr. Mahoney, we don't want to tire you, but
You're not tiring me. I'm all right. Yeah.
it's just
Yeah,
very
it's
gracious
certainly been fine to talk to both of you.
please that you invited us in.
Well, I wouldn't have it any other way, and I hope Sean will feel the same way. And I think he will. I think he will, and he can give you a hell of a lot of information about managers and different people. He'll probably tell you about some have got what the hell is his name? Wolfham's son-in-law,
Oh, MacDowell.
Macdell. He'll probably tell
Buffalo head.
Buffalo Head, yeah.
He does have a very large.
Oh, Christ, yes.
I remember a worse name I heard for him, but I won't repeat it here.
Dear.
Well, you're liable to hear anything from about him, I'll tell you that.
Oh, Bill, one question I wanted to ask you, this is kind of a funny question, but you hear a lot about what I call substance abuse nowadays and the programs that General Motors has to help people with alcohol and drug problems. What did we do back in the, well, I'll call the old days related to that?
Well, in the old days, we never had any drug problems or alcohol problems. If
Okay.
we did have it, they just took care of it themselves. We never had anything to do with them.
Didn't have any programs
No,
to take
no.
care of people?
No.
Did you fire guys for that or
We
what?
fired them for continuous drug violations
Oh, yeah.
or being late for work.
Uh-huh.
Of course, we fired for a lot of things in those days that nobody ever questioned.
Yeah.
Well, I know there was quite a few people, Will, that you talked to and tried to straighten out.
Oh, well,
get 'em
sure, we
go
talked to 'em.
Alcoholics Anonymous.
Yeah,
So you had a little informal program.
that's right. But it would all be handled by ourselves and talking to them and trying to get them straightened out. But
Uh-huh.
no uniform program.
Yeah.
So then you would try to talk with these people and reason with them before you'd fire them.
Oh, sure.
And if they
Yeah,
really didn't just step up.
we never
you gave them
fired
a chance.
an individual on the first violation of any.
Uh-huh.
We always talked to them and tried to straighten them out. And we never had many individuals that we had to do that with.
Uh-huh.
They were satisfied to work a day and a week and mind their own business and do their own job. And the employees in those days were used to that kind of work. And we talked when we were first started there and the amount of money we were getting as compared to what you get today. They're getting $14.59 an hour now on the line. Christ, in those days, you got about a couple dollars an hour. Because I remember my dad worked over there at Olds for a long time. That's when they put the cars together by hand. But now everything is
So automated.
automated.
Yeah.
Yeah, sure. But I don't. They got a program now in personnel department where they have an individual assigned to alcoholism and
Yeah.
drug,
Yeah.
trying to help them out. And I think it's all right because in most cases, though, with an alcoholic that's been an alcoholic for any length of time, it's pretty hard to get them straightened out because they're pretty well set in their ways. And the same way with drugs. There's so goddamn many young people today on drugs. Yeah, sure. The kids in high school.
Junior high.
Yeah, junior high. It's frightening. Certainly is.
Now, Bill, said you speaking about the workers on the line, did they get paid for overtime or was this just an 8-hour day?
No, we got paid for overtime. They got paid for overtime. But they worked overtime.
But they asked for like nights paid more than days?
Yeah,
But they
nights.
asked to work on nights?
Yeah. Well, our son-in-law, he's worked on nights right along. Grandson, I should say. Even when our great-grandson was born, he stayed on nights so he could be with days, take care of her great-grandson. But he got a 15% now. that they get for night shift work to take care of meals and things like that. It's unusual for night shift.
What about benefit, Bill, back in the forties and the thirties? Did we have benefit packages for employees?
You didn't have the benefits they got now. They got pensions now that they never had then.
Health insurances?
And the cost of living and health insurance, and they had they didn't have pensions. They got pensions now. All the employees got pensions now.
Yeah. So those didn't exist back when
No,
you
they
first
didn't exist
in
because
the thirties.
only the ones that were on salary got pensions. And cost of living was always with the hourly employee,
Yeah.
and some of the salary employees got cost of living too.
Yeah.
But other than that, they never had any benefits like that in those days.
Uh-huh.
But when the union came into the picture, they increased on everything, like holidays and whatnot, and they got a lot of things that they didn't ever have before.
Were we working like 6-day weeks in
No,
the 30s?
5 days.
5 days?
You always got time and a half for Saturday and double time for Sunday.
Okay.
I can remember though, when they call men in and they do maybe an hour's work
Yeah,
and lay them off and they wouldn't dare go home. They'd just mill around outside and wait to see if there was any more.
they wait in the dining room or someplace and wait to see if there's any more
That was
work.
before
Oh, really?
the union.
Yeah, that was before the union came into the picture.
No,
No, nothing then. They, their mom says they'd call them in and they'd work for an hour and they'd run out of material. And they'd go down in the lunchroom and wait around, wait for some more parts to come in so they could go back and work another hour. And they'd be paid for just for what they did. But now, they gotta, they call them in and they gotta pay them for 4 hours whether they work or not.
Right.
And hell, I get a lot of letters from the corporation of different things that they're doing now that they never did before.
Yes.
But in
Well,
fact, I
believe
was
me, they never made anything awful well and I on pension.
surprised, no, say not. I've been drawing pensions 27 years now. And I was surprised here, this year or so ago, got a letter from the corporation and Christ, there was a colored man in the personnel department down there. But I see recently he's left and gone to some tractor outfit.
How about women in the workforce in the early days?
Oh, hell, they didn't have any women in the early days, but they come into the picture when the union come into the picture, and now you got more women in there, or you got as many women in there as you have men.
How about during the war, a lot of women?
Yeah, during the war. In fact, we had a department one time prior to the war, they called it the soft tool department, all women in there. They used to work on the presses in the press room, but now they've set up a department of all women were assembling different things and call it the soft tool department.
Oh.
Well, you had quite a few blind men over there.
Oh, yeah, we had blind men. The guy that showed them into the plant would train them, and they'd go in on a job and run the press or do work in the plant. Christ, they were damn good employees because you never heard them squawk about anything because they couldn't see and they done their job and that was all that was necessary.
Was that an occurrence prior to the war or?
No, that's after the war. Yeah, just recently.
Well, what about our safety record there at Oldsmobile? We've always had a pretty good
We had
safety
a
record.
pretty good safety record, but I don't think we had as many in the safety department as they got now, Helen. We had one individual that handles safety shoes and a couple that handled safety, but that's done away with. There's more in the safety department now.
Do you remember anybody actually getting killed?
Oh, yeah. We got the plant engineer supervisor. He got crushed with the press. He went down during the lunch period to see what the hell was wrong and operated. He evidently got under it and the press flipped and he crushed it. That was our plant engineer, plant supervisor.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. That was about it. Of course, we used to have, when I was in the personnel department, we used to have an ambulance at Oldsmobile there all the time.
Yeah.
Anybody, got cut or hurt, run an ambulance, and take them to the hospital.
Mm-hmm.
But they done away with that too. They don't have an ambulance now.
Oh, we don't?
No. What the hell they call an ambulance, it's there just as quick as it probably is would have. Well, a lot of changes have been made, and as Mom mentioned a while ago, different individuals that come over to visit me tell me that they retired. It wasn't like it used to be. Well, of course, we know that. Everything has changed.
Yeah. Do you see Del McRae?
I haven't seen him in quite some time, but he's still around. He's still alive.
Yeah.
But Dell is long in years, Helen.
He's diabetic too.
Yeah, he is, and he still lives where he always lived out there.
Well, we were thinking of adding him.
Well, he's
on
a
our
damn
list,
good
too.
man. If you can get Dell to meet with you. He knows a hell of a lot. He was always a pal of mine, because anytime I had any trouble in his department, he always handled it for me.
Did you know he was part, Indian?
Yes.
Yeah, he's Chippewa, no?
Chippewa.
Yeah, yeah. He was a damn good supervisor, and Bobby Scott worked for him. And I was talking to a girl up in Dr. Curtis's department, and she lives out there by Bobby Scott. He lives out in Diverdale. She was telling me about an operation he had, and he lost the sight of one eye, she said. And he was a tough little guy.
Yeah?
He was a little
fella.
yeah.
About my size, I remember.
Yeah,
He was,
he was
yeah.
tougher than hell. But he was a good guy, and he worked for Dell for a long time.
Well, and he took over that job after Dell left.
Yeah, he did. And Bob Rollis died time ago.
Too bad.
Yeah, Bob was very bad. Joe Dykstra's dead. Hanson's dead. Oh, most of them, the guys I knew are all gone.
Yeah.
Ray Fedro. Do you?
He's alive. He got in trouble for our son raised hell with him when he was over at Plant 3 then, and had a layoff. And they kept a couple of young men without seniority that worked for Fedor, and he kept them on the job because the one boy, his dad was superintendent over at the cemetery, and they laid off a couple of Jerry's men who had more seniority, so he went to bat for him. And he talked to Matt Campbell, and he went right on up the list. And they finally laid those two boys off, kept Jerry's two men on. So that was Ray Fedor. So he never thought much of Ray Fedor for that.
Well, that was a fair thing to do.
Sure. Sure. Oh, well. It used to be, Helen, and you know, that Oldsmobile was known for father and son plant.
Yeah.
Yes.
Now, and why was that?
Because it was father and son. Father always had his son work there. That's right.
Father, son, and grandson.
Grandson, yeah.
You know, that Judge Curtis took off on that. He said, he was in a meeting, he said, why do you want to break up all of this father, son, grandson relationship? Well, this party from the corporation, the general, or main office said, well, we don't want them to be so cliqued. Judge said, what's wrong with that?
Well, if they're qualified, doing a good job.
They wanted to break it up and bring in people from other places so they'd get it all integrated. They figured they would do a better
Sure have done
job.
that.
That's what they've done.
They have done that.
Judge, she's talking about, he came over here in 1940, 41, and went to GM Tech.
Yeah,
Well, then when we got into the war, he left GM Tech and went into service. And he was in there all during the war. And when he came out, he came back and finished his engineering course at GM Tech, and he went to work for Oldsmobile.
Mhm.
And he eventually was general superintendent.
Oh, yeah, good man.
Yes, sir.
I think he was the oldest employee over there when he retired.
Yeah.
I think he'd been there 43 years or something like that.
43 years. Yeah.
He's a good guy. I'm partial to him.
Well, we're gonna see him because I knew Jed very well.
Well, I'm glad you did.
And he told me, I chatted with him about doing this, and he said, oh yeah, anytime, Jim, just holler.
You're damn right.
So-
He'll tell you.
Yep.
He'll tell you everything that happened in Oldsmobile since 1940. I'll tell you that.
Yeah, that's a good guy.
He's a very fine individual. He goes out skiing every goddamn year.
Yeah, he sure does.
Some guy.
Colorado.
Yeah, some guy.
Well, he's always kept himself, he always, since he was a kid, was very conscious of his physical fitness, and he always kept himself in good shape.
He's having trouble with his wife because she find one more snake in the basement and they're gonna move. That's all there is. They live next to that Grand Trunk Park out
They
there.
went right up to Grant Woods Park.
Yeah.
And when he built this extra addition on, he had one of these out where you go into the basement from the outside. Those big doors open up, and he'd leave them open, the damn snakes would go in the basement. Oh dear goodness. They found three different types of snakes. Just one more in the basement, we're moving. I don't know how'd she come out on it, I haven't been
Well, I would like that either, even just frigate snakes, they,
Oh, hell, I don't like any kind of snake. I don't give a damn whether it's sneaking or water or what it is.
When we first went up to Burt Lake, when we first built there were quite a few water snakes around there. Everybody that
What was just a swamp.
Yeah.
Everybody that worked on the place, I said, make like St. Patrick. I want you to kill everyone you see. So we went up there one weekend while they were working on it. We were walking around the yard, and we saw 4 snakes laying right out like this with their heads cut off.
they want to show you what they bagged.
Well, we laughed about it, but that first couple of years, I never went out of the house without a broom in my hand. That was my tool. Will used a grass whip.
That'll work nice.
Yeah.
Why we haven't seen one up there, I don't know how.
You keep your grass mowed, I think.
Oh,
Yeah.
they about
The
5
back
feet.
part is all woods. You
Yeah.
can't see the house from the
Yeah.
back road. But we mow 4 acres.
Scary for a golf cart. Dad had trouble getting around. He thought maybe that would help him up there. But I don't know who uses it the most. Everybody that goes up there uses the golf cart.
Right, yeah.
Bill, we've got a lot of photographs in the file that have got pictures of people and group pictures and retirement parties and
Yeah.
things like that, and I will guess probably 70% of them, we don't know who those folks are. Would you object if we dragged a mess of them out sometime and came over and just sat with you and had you just
Help us
help
identify
us
it.
who these people
No,
are?
I'll be glad to do anything I can.
Well, we'll wait until.
Yeah, well, after everybody's gone, sometime later in the fall.
Yeah.
And we'll just pull out a mess up, come over and spend another hour or so with you if you don't mind, and have you just kind of
Sure.
best you can pick out. I know you can't probably get everybody, but it all helps.
I'll be glad to help.
So that'd be helpful to us.
Sure. And you could do that with Sean too. And Del McRae is a good.
Yes, yes,
Because he'll know everybody in the plant. It's in those
Right.
pictures.
right.
A lot of these do seem to be plant
Yeah,
pictures.
we've got a lot of plant
Yeah, well,
photographs.
he'll know a hell of a lot of those people.
you keep in touch with anyone in the union who was active when you were personnel director?
No one in the union when I was personnel director.
At all?
Not now, Jim Ramey was a committeeman, but he's worked for the International now.
Yeah.
His dad, well,
No, not Jim Ramey. Most of them are gone, and a lot of them live in Florida,
Yeah.
Paruska and Patterson and fellows like that.
Maybe you have some pictures here yourself that Jim and I might look at too. Group pictures or function pictures.
Well, we got a couple of books I haven't.
well, someplace I'll have to hunt them up.
Well.
Yeah, no rush, if you think about it.
But as I say, we don't want to plan anything until after the wedding
Yeah,
is all
I
over.
understand that, that's all right.
We got too many things that we,
Right.
You're gonna be awfully busy.
oh yeah, we're gonna be awfully busy. This Sunday is the relatives are gathering for a shower for Margaret. And Sally's dad and mother are coming down from Brutus. And so the relatives will all be here. As far as Will and I'm concerned, we have any relatives. Sally's got, she's related to everybody in the Northland. So
Where will the shower be held?
the Jerry and Sally's home. They have a lovely place over in Saratoga Farms.
Oh, yes.
Off the Jello Road.
It's,
Yeah.
it is a lovely place.
When they opened that division, Sam O'Brien, I said to Sam, "You see a play for a piece of property that you think we'd be interested in, back to here for." So he mentioned this place. And we told Jerry and Sally to go over and look at it. But they thought it was fine. So they went over and finally built on it. We got a beautiful place. So,
Have you ever been over in Saratoga Farms?
No,
Buy
I
it,
just
that's
been
all,
by it.
yeah.
It's, you go in one way and it's right around the circle, come out the same way. It's, I think there's 30 some odd homes in there. All of them were custom built, they built them themselves. But Jerry and Sally are right after you go in the entrance. It's up on a knoll. And they really have got a lovely place there. They got a 300-foot frontage.
Oh,
Very nice.
And
nice, nice.
it's a ranch type house. So Sally's, they had 4 bedrooms, of course, they had the 4 children. Sally said, you know, she said, I thought we had an awful big house.
This is tape number 2, William J. Mahoney, recorded on September 9th, 1988.
I said to her, when are you going to retire? Well, she said, when Jerry retires, I'll retire. Dr. Eichner says, when you retire, I'm retiring.
He didn't want to lose her.
No. Doesn't make any difference whether he's there or not. She goes ahead. She doesn't pull any teeth, but she takes the x-rays and she can get the crowns, so on and so forth.
Been awfully good to Sally.
Yeah, he has been good to Sally.
Set up a pension for her and everything else.
Marvelous. Well, he appreciates it.
Yeah.
Well, you know, the funny part of it was, she just wanted a part-time job. And after the kids went to school, she thought, take up her time. And so one of her neighbors there, Mrs. Blanker, was into Dr. Eichner. He said, you don't know of anybody that wants a part-time job, do you? He said, I could use a girl here. She said, yeah, I got just the girl for you. So she gave him Sally's name. He called Sally up. And he said, well, can you come in? And Sally said, why, yes, I can. So he hired her on sight and unseen. He didn't know what he was getting. He had no more idea than a rabbit, but it was he said, it's the luckiest day he ever had.
How long has she been with him?
15 years.
So Jerry then and Sally will be retiring in 3 years?
In about 3 years.
Huh? That's nice that they can do it
Yeah,
together.
yeah.
Well, we couldn't love Sally anymore if she was our own daughter.
What a wonderful compliment to her.
She
And to
is
Jerry's
really,
judgment.
she is really, she said, I'm always treated like a daughter.
Well, she's supposed to be.
That's right,
That
and
isn't always
we
true.
love her folks as much. And it's Sally's mother and I have often talked, we have a sisterly feeling for each other. And we've often said, we all love the same set of children, so why can't we love each other?
Sure.
What a nice way to see it.
And we do, we get, whenever we have a holiday or anything, where all the family is together. And as Sally said, there's a lot of people she knows that can't have their in-laws at the same time they have their old parents. Well, that's not that case here.
Well,
Sally
you
said,
always give Sally a blank check to use what she wants to use it. That's Grandma's birthday present for her. She just gave her a blank check for her to have a chair upholstered on
I
her
said, I
birthday.
don't care what you spend it for, but here, I don't know what you want, take it, here's a blank check. I signed and gave it to her, now I said, go do whatever you want with it. She never has abused it, that's one of the reasons why we can.
Well, I imagine Grandpa's pretty generous too.
Well, Mom and I do a lot of things for the kids, and we should, because we got it, and what the hell, we can't use it, they can't take it with them.
Right.
That's right.
My theory is, if they can use a little help now and then, and different things they want now, why not give it to them now, then wait until Will and I are gone, and we won't see or know how much they enjoy it.
And now you can all share in that
That's
thrill
right.
of helping them.
That's
obtain
right,
something
that's
that
the way
they
I
want.
look at it. And they're all we've got.
I can see how much they add to your life. Well, the people we love do add a lot to our life.
That's
It's
right.
is life for us, really.
Sure,
She
that's
always,
all you get out of life.
Sally always takes Dad to his
When you're
doctor.
gone, that's what's left.
That's right.
Yep.
Yeah,
So your length of service with Olds was how many years, Bill?
38.
38 years.
Yeah.
It's a long time.
Yep. I never regretted it.
No.
I've been drawing pension since 61. That's 27 years.
27 years.
Just doesn't seem possible, does it?
No. They don't owe me a goddamn penny. I never put that much money into it, I'll tell you that. Well, Mom and I talk about it, they don't owe us anything,
That's great.
but
Let's see, Mr. Cutler came in after you.
yeah,
And he was there
well, he was there probably around,
50. No, he was there.
he was there 23 years, I think, or 24.
And you would- So that was.
Yeah. Yeah. Yep,
Well, Helen,
Maybe we've got a whole bunch of wonderful memories.
Right.
well,
which is
I'm glad you have.
very, very appreciative of.
Well,
the one overstaying welcome.
No,
no,
because
you are not overstaying, you're welcome.
thank
I
you.
give you everything I knew, and I think that if you can get Sean and Del McRae to interview, you'll have a hell of a lot of memories from Oldsmobile.
That'll be nice because Bill, you see, you're from the labor, the relations, the personnel angle. Sean would be financial.
Yeah.
Ray would be manufacturing.
You're damn right, you betcha.
And we're trying to get different.
Yeah, different disciplines.
Well, that's all right, that's the reason I recommended that. Because when I went to work for Sean, I went to work in the cost department, Sean worked for Ed Myers, he was comptroller. Then following him, the I.J. Ryder group from Dalco Remy came in. And I think Sanders was with them, he was a comptroller. So that gets you pretty well on your road to what you're after.
Did you know I.J. Reuter?
Yes, I was there. In fact, Carter that came with Reuter, he bought our uniforms, baseball uniforms for us.
What kind of people were those two individuals?
They were very good people. They were very good. All of them were very fine. I never cared much for Milner, who was in charge of personnel, but
Okay.
the rest of them were very fine individuals. There was Reuter, Carter, then there was Milner and Sanders. Yeah, that was all of them.
Why did they all come from,
That's what the corporation.
they just sent them to you?
Yeah, they were Delcorimi, and they moved from Delcorimi
Right over
into Oldsmobile because Oldsmobile, prior to that, there was two or three different times that they were just about ready to turn the key in the door.
Oh,
And they brought them in to see if they could get it straightened out.
oh, yeah,
Well, then they followed them was McCune.
yeah.
And then following McCune was Skinner. And boy, he brought it back on its feet, I'll tell you that.
Well, in those days, it was policy of all big companies, if they hired a manager from different places, he brought with him all his key people, and the others were just, that's one thing the union did that I really was glad to see done. Because they couldn't do that after the union came in. But,
Of course, not right now. Bill Lane, who's manager over there, he was in the sales department before, and then he went to Pontiac.
Yes.
Sales, and they brought him back here. In fact, we were at Judd's retirement party.
Yeah.
And Bill Lane was there, and he gave Judd a bag of some kind. What the hell was it?
I don't remember what it was.
And but that goes to show you that, in fact, Bob Cook was general manager at Oldsmobile for a long time.
Yeah.
He was right from the plant. And Johnny Belch was right from the plant, too. Of course, Wilco was right to engineering.
Yeah.
I don't know how the hell he got that far. He never claimed he was a Jew, but that's what he was. He had a brother that was a Jew in Detroit, so I knew he was a Jew.
His mother sure was. His mother sure was.
Yeah, she sure was.
You know, I don't give a darn what a person is. To deny their birthright, I think is terrible.
You are what you are, you can't change it.
No,
Well,
she's trying to change it. Why should you try to change it?
You should be proud of what you are and try to do the best you
That's
can.
right. That's one thing about Mr. Wolfram I didn't like. He denied it up and down. Great Scott, you wouldn't even have to hear his mother open her mouth without knowing she was Jewish.
Everybody over there called me Irish, and I didn't blame them a goddamn bit.
Well, you are, you are.
Yeah, sure.
Did Mr. Reuter go in the plant?
Right.
Look around Reuter?
Not like Skinner. Nobody ever went to plant like Skinner. He went in and he talked to the janitor and everybody. He was a very fine individual.
I wonder if Bob Cook did that. I think he went.
Oh, well,
Plant.
Bob came to our plant.
Yes. I
Yeah,
think
Bob
he
came
did
to
that.
our plant, yeah.
He would always end up out in car assembly plant
Yeah.
first thing in the morning.
Bob came from the plant.
I can't see Mr. Menzel doing that though.
Oh, no, Metzel never went to plant. He was in engineering.
Carol,
No,
Oh, for sure.
Stemple was in the engineering there, and now he's president of General
Yeah.
Motors.
Oldsmobile
You
has-
must have hired him.
Yeah, I think we did.
Oldsmobile has furnished the corporation with some very.
Oh,
great
you're damn right
products.
they had. You bet your life. You can go back and name any number of them, including
Estes.
Estes, Kenny,
Kenny, yeah.
Stemple, and different ones have gone to corporation. McCune went to corporation.
Yes.
Skinner went to corporation.
Well, Bill Buxton, the general sales.
Bill
manager,
Buxton,
did too.
yeah. But, that goddamn kite never went anyplace other than engineering, and he ruined that, so. And he ruined the goddamn Oldsmobile itself, but
It's a good thing those were good years by themselves. And
Yeah.
it would just coast.
regardless of him, yeah. Regardless.
Did you know John DeLorean?
Oh, yes. I met John DeLorean. In fact, I met him in New York with Skinner, after, Estes went with Pontiac, and, Knudsen was running Pontiac. And Knudsen and Estes and DeLorean was sitting there, and Skinner introduced me to Olive, DeLorean, Olive. I couldn't help but think of DeLorean and all this damn trouble he's been in. He's gonna cut the world with a tail, and he cut his own tail. But I haven't heard anything from him lately.
No, I haven't either.
Yeah,
Last I heard that he was going to start another automobile.
Yeah,
company,
right.
but
I don't know who the hell financed it.
Well, I'd like to know where he gets his money.
No, and
Who'd have any confidence in him?
There's a sucker born every minute.
Yeah, something that-
it's somebody's born to take advantage of.
yeah, that's what Barnum says.
Well, maybe we should skip along.
Okay.
Jim, it's-
Well, we certainly enjoyed you coming over.
Get a chance.
I'll look up and see. I know we've got a lot of pictures somewhere.
We may just borrow those if you don't mind.
Yeah.
Reproduce them.
I'll see what I can find.
Well, let me shut this baby off.
Yeah, shut it off. I ain't gonna say anymore.